I'm Ashton from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Joshua Tate, the CEO of ForumPay and Blocks Live. Joshua, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to be here.
Thank you, Ashton. I appreciate you having me on.
You're very welcome. I'd love to kick off the interview by getting a little bit of background on what you and your team are working on at ForumPay.
ForumPay is a very interesting project for us. Basically, the sort of genesis of ForumPay was to look at the way that mass adoption, some of the catalysts to mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. One of the ways that I identified, or that my team and I identified in order to do that, is to solve for the acceptability component of cryptocurrency. As a lot of people know, there are generally 6 characteristics of money, right? Divisibility, portability, acceptability, limited supply, so on and so forth. The one place where crypto really struggles is in general acceptability, meaning you really just can't use it in your daily life, generally speaking. You know, you can't just run down and buy a cup of coffee or go on Amazon or so on and so forth with your cryptocurrency. That sort of handicaps crypto in a number of different ways. One, that it doesn't actually, despite what you call it, make crypto a currency because it doesn't fulfill that final characteristic. And it also happens to sort of handicap the volatility component a little bit. I'll explain that in a little more detail. But generally speaking, we set out to provide a technology, a fintech technology, that would allow for payments really to happen in everyday life via cryptocurrencies and on behalf of merchants that may or may not be willing to be interested or accept cryptocurrencies. So it's a blending of the two worlds of cryptocurrency and traditional fiat kind of environments.
Yeah, it's very cool because crypto payments is something that really has not reached anywhere near its peak. And it's still, the kinks are still being worked out, and there are so many great use cases and benefits potentially when it does come into full effect that it's definitely a great space to be in. And I want to dive into that, but I also want to touch on the fact that you also run Blocks Live, and that's what got you into cryptocurrency in the first place, which helped grow ForumPay. So if you could give a little bit of that story on how did you first hear about crypto, get involved, and start Blocks Live, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. ForumPay sort of came out of my experience in crypto, and my journey and experience in crypto was through media. I'm involved with a company and have been involved with the company for a number of years. That's a tech company. Specifically, we represent, well, the company was designed to solve for a number of problems with the internet when it comes to distributing video content at scale, especially in live and linear form content. When we were very young in business, that company is called System 73. When we were very young in business, sort of the company's infancy, we were solving for all these scalability issues, and we were trying to find different ways to, showcase the technology that we built. The chairman, who's a very successful guy in his own right of the company and the primary investor in System 73, is a guy named Bill Irby, incredibly talented guy. He and I would sit in the office on Saturdays and kind of brainstorm about how we took that particular technology to market. He and I were not, I should say, neither of us were necessarily crypto guys, but we were both, and not necessarily crypto skeptics. We were both very intellectually interested in cryptocurrency and its application to a number of different things. I shouldn't say crypto, I should say blockchain. From a finance perspective and both from a technology perspective, they're both very interesting. I'm an old real estate and energy guy. So the application of blockchain to energy really kind of is what originally piqued my interest. And when we sit around on our Saturday afternoons and brainstorm in the office about various things, we thought, there's no place that I can find right now, and this is 3 or 4 years ago, there's no place I can find right now that will satisfy sort of that intellectual crave for learning about crypto and blockchain for somebody who's new, right? Interested in a lot of different applications. And so you'd go to YouTube, or you'd go to, even Cheddar at the time was doing a bit of, CNBC had 15 minutes a week. Bloomberg may touch on it when there was something big going on Bitcoin. But generally speaking, it was just very difficult to find what you would consider to be reliable information. So we said, why don't we create the CNBC or Bloomberg of crypto and blockchain. And that's very much what we set out to do with Blocks Live TV. We very quickly put together a team of incredibly talented sort of blockchain enthusiasts who are also in journalism, and put them together and brought them all to this crazy island in the middle of the Mediterranean called Malta, and started this really, really cool channel, which has grown into a whole different monster, on its own. Mm-hmm. Where that really kind of benefited me in the entire space was I was in the studio every day with all the guys and girls who were really producing great content and doing all the things that we wanted to do by becoming that sort of go-to resource for great information, listening to great influencers, so on and so forth, like yourself, Ashton, and get folks really enthused and excited with reliable information about crypto. That just means I got to meet, I had the fortune of meeting really, really influential people and really, really smart people in the crypto community, including my producers and my writers and everything else that we're working on the channel. They got me more and more excited. The people who I met got me more and more excited. And I remember the light bulb went off one day when I said, let's do a piece on the 6 characteristics of currency, as I kind of mentioned previously as the genesis of ForumPay. I said, I'd like to do a nice 3-part series. I don't want you to specifically focus on talking to just crypto or just blockchain people. Let's talk to everybody across the board. I want PhDs in micro and macro economics. I want folks that are sort of in the middle and kind of playing both sides. And I want the hardcore crypto guys. And I want them to debate and talk and discuss the challenges of both. And generally speaking, that's where they came up with, where that cryptocurrency is generally superior in 5 of those 6 characteristics. It failed on the 6th. And so with Blocks Live, getting me energized and into the community, I was able to take some of my old career principles in finance and public finance to apply to something that I thought was a very unique opportunity in payments with cryptocurrency. The end result is actually interesting. I mean, payments is a big business no matter how you look at it, whether it's in credit cards or any other sort of medium of payments and exchange. Mm-hmm. Interesting thing with crypto, though, specifically within our community, is that if you do solve, and you do it well, for blockchain payments utilizing crypto at merchants, and you solve for the acceptability component, just by applying that transactional component to cryptocurrency and making it a cryptocurrency, automatically has the effect of reducing the volatility of the currencies that actually are a modicum of transaction and not just value. What that also does, the stability within, stabilizing the volatility rather, increases the value. So when you solve, in crypto and blockchain, it's so interesting. When you solve little bits and pieces of the ecosystem and the puzzle with really, true blockchain-based solutions, it's amazing what they have in terms of collateral benefit across the board for the entire industry. And so that's how I got into this particular industry through Blocks Live, and very fortunately so. Some of the people that ushered me through the process along the way. And how I ended up starting another sort of vertical within the particular industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very cool backstory, Joshua. And both industries, media and payments, will be super important, I believe, to the mainstream adoption of blockchain technology. And going back to the payments side, I'm curious on what you think about the more recent news from the payment Goliaths. Mastercard and Visa, Visa came out with a road to crypto adoption, and Mastercard coming out with their partner program. On the payment side, do you think that this is going to bring more legitimacy for all of the crypto payment processors, and having that alternative where crypto as a payment system is going to be more ingrained into the system now that the big dogs are starting to talk about it?
Excuse me. It's interesting. I don't mind when big institutional players get into our space, because I do think that adds a certain level of credibility to, say, a merchant that might otherwise not know about crypto, or even a consumer that might otherwise not know about it. When Visa, Mastercard, PayPal, Stripe, or whomever it is get into the business, though, you're talking about actually diluting the principles of blockchain in that particular application. So a credit card, we've all been through the credit card journey, but in a credit card transaction or a general credit card or debit card transaction, there are literally no less than 6 people involved in the transaction. With a true blockchain-based solution like ForumPay, and there are a handful of others. I think ForumPay is better, but people can disagree. But with ForumPay, a true blockchain-based solution only has 3 people involved. Right? You have the consumer, you have the gateway, and then you have the merchant. It's that simple and it's that direct. It also takes place on the actual blockchain, which means risk of identity theft is eliminated, risk of chargebacks is eliminated. All of these things that make the blockchain transactions really shine are totally diminished by putting on crypto, by putting the transaction back on Visa and Mastercard rails. Then all of a sudden you've still got your acquiring banks, your interchange, your settling bank, all the 6 players that are involved in it, or 7 and sometimes 8 and 9 that are involved in a typical credit card transaction. I think it's, as I said, interesting when they get into the game, but they're not doing. I think it will be a catalyst ultimately to what we're trying to do in a true blockchain-based solution. More people will be interested, more people will understand, and at the end of the day, if I've got merchants who are actually interested in and understand cryptocurrency, then ForumPay becomes an obvious solution away from the Visa and Mastercard debit and credit, quote unquote, pay with crypto sort of solutions that are out there. There are some big companies, even exchanges in this space that we all know have made some recent announcements related to that. And again, it's just not true to a blockchain solution. It's not true to our industry. Yeah. I think it'll show the value of a true blockchain-based solution will show its value. People who do know will know. The people who are getting involved will certainly become knowledgeable and educated on it. And I think that will ultimately prove itself to be, kind of forward-facing.
Yeah, I completely agree, Joshua. And I think it sort of goes the same for, these chartered banks now just started saying that they'll take custody of your Bitcoin if you want, right? And it's like, well, it brings it legitimacy to the people that think that banks are legitimate. But for the people that think Bitcoin is the real legitimacy, it sort of goes against the grain of giving your Bitcoin to the bank, right? So it sort of goes away from the principles, and of course they're going to take fees, and there's all this extra stuff involved. And if you just use like a true blockchain solution that has the minimal amount of parties and the most amount of savings, then you're probably going to get the most value out of it.
I couldn't have said it better, Ashton. You absolutely nailed it. The synergy or the similarity between what's going on with the custodial banks and sort of the institutional players in payments is uncanny.
So you were talking about the different principles of money and the fact that right now not a lot of people are accepting cryptocurrencies, so it doesn't really make it a currency if it's not being transferred around a lot. And I was looking into ForumPay, and one of the solutions, at least on the merchant side, is that they don't really have to deal with cryptocurrencies necessarily if they don't want to, and they can use fiat. Can you talk about that fiat crypto interchangeability?
Sure. I designed ForumPay specifically with 3 to 4 criteria. I said it's really, I think, only interesting to be in this business if you can and be in this industry through payments if you can solve for a number of very critical items. First of all, we all know that we're all very sort of tribal when it comes to our wallets or our cryptocurrencies or whatever it may be. As a crypto enthusiast, consumer, whatever like we are being in the industry, if you're going to provide a payment mechanism, my criteria were it has to be entirely wallet agnostic. So if you've got whatever wallet it is that you like, you trust, and you feel is safe and secure and you know how to operate and it's the best UI for you, you have to be able to use that and be able to pay with it. The same with sort of currencies, with the various tokens. Now, you can't pay with every of the 2,000 plus tokens in the world, right? But certainly 96% of the market is represented by the top 8 coins. So you need to be able to at least have a mechanism that also will accept those different cryptocurrencies. And as you well know, different blockchains provide different sort of challenges when it comes to that transaction or the exchange. So we had to solve for those two things on the front end. The second part we had to solve for was that the merchants, you have to be able to educate and convince a merchant that they really don't need to be concerned with what is being paid to them. It's what they receive.
Yeah.
So for my merchants, it was important for me to be able to say, look, the transaction takes place instantly at the point of sale, just like a credit card or debit card would. Or even we have features which allow for invoicing and so on and so forth. There's lots of different ways to do it. But let's just use credit cards and debit cards as an example. At the point of sale, when the transaction is consummated, the conversion of that crypto to that fiat or traditional, whether it's a euro, dollar, or yen, or whatever, that needs to happen at that exact time. And there can't be any sort of delay or weird talk about when the blockchain settles the payment and so on and so forth, or settles the actual conversion. So it has to be an instant conversion, and it has to be an instant conversion to whatever currency the merchant actually is used to getting paid in. And then the third criteria within that was I also can't tell a merchant that, oh, by the way, you also have to sign up for some crazy bank account somewhere. There's literally, all you need to know is that the person in front of you wants to pay with something that has a 100 euro or $100 or 100 CAD equivalent in front of you. And it needs to be spot price, best execution at the time and point of sale, with no loading, by the way, on either side. Once that takes place and you can solve for that, and the merchant can see that their whatever fiat it is that they choose gets settled into their bank account just as efficiently, if not more efficiently, and frankly, likely less expensive than credit card does, then you have something. You have really something that you can give a merchant an excuse to accept, or certainly no excuse not to. Right? I think the report I read the other day is that there's 20% of the global population that owns cryptocurrency now, and that was like 100% increase, or an 89 maybe percent increase from the prior year from 18 to 19. There's no reason to think that the cryptocurrency isn't being adopted at an even more exponential level. That proverbial financial hockey stick isn't showing its face. So that's a large amount of consumers that if you want to have a competitive advantage against your other merchants that may be reluctant in this space, you can totally access. And you're simply being an early adopter to something that I think will ultimately be something that people just very much get used to. With ForumPay, look, I'll admit, if I'm any good, or if any of us in payments are any good at what we're doing in true blockchain-based solutions, eventually we won't be necessary, right? Because people will want to keep their crypto. It will become that familiar that they won't need that instant fiat conversion. It will be sort of just an option in and amongst any other. Now, I designed ForumPay so that they could, in fact, keep on exchange that we operate on, which we also own and operate, those different cryptocurrencies and trade them as they become enthusiasts and adopters, just like the rest of us in the industry. But right now, it's accessing a market of very passionate consumers that I think, and I think most of us would agree, would very much use cryptocurrency as a currency if, in fact, it were not.
Definitely. Well, that's very exciting, Joshua, and it sounds like you're doing really well with ForumPay right now. So all the best and continued growth on that. We're running out of time here, but if there are viewers or merchants that are interested in learning more about cryptocurrency payments or about ForumPay, what's the best way for them to learn more information?
Sure. Our website's very informative, as are most. It's www.forumpay.com, FORUMPAY.com. There's lots of information on there, and if you go to the site, you can always just look me up and hit me up on any of the various social media or LinkedIn or whatever. I'm always happy to talk to people about these products and others, and kind of just generally having that sort of weird media background as well. I just like to talk about our industry and see what options and opportunities there are to grow and network within it. So Ashton, I think this has been great, and I really appreciate your time, and good luck with EventChain and everything. And the next time you're in Malta, we will definitely have to get together.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Josh. I will leave those links in the description box below for the viewers as well. And all the best with all of your projects, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thank you so much.